The old house at the end of the street had always been abandoned, its windows boarded up, and its garden overgrown with weeds. The neighborhood kids dared each other to approach it, spinning tales of a ghostly figure glimpsed through the dusty glass or strange noises heard on moonless nights. One summer evening, Emma and her friends decided to investigate. Armed with flashlights and nervous laughter, they crept closer to the looming silhouette of the house. As they neared the front door, a chill wind whispered through the trees, causing them to shiver despite the warmth of the night. With trembling hands, Emma pushed open the creaking door. The air inside was heavy and musty, filled with the scent of decay. Shadows danced on the walls as their flashlights swept the rooms. They found old furniture draped in dusty sheets, cobwebs clinging to every corner, and an eerie silence that made their hearts race. Suddenly, a floorboard creaked behind them. They spun around, their lights casting wild beams across the walls. In the dim glow, they saw a figure standing at the top of the stairs, a figure clad in tattered clothes, with sunken eyes that gleamed in the darkness. Frozen in fear, Emma and her friends watched as the figure descended the stairs, each step slow and deliberate. They could hear its ragged breath echoing in the silence, drawing closer with every heartbeat. Panic set in, and they turned to flee, stumbling over debris in their haste to escape. As they burst out of the house, gasping for breath, they dared not look back. They ran through the night, the echoes of their footsteps drowned out by the pounding of their hearts. Only when they reached the safety of their homes did they dare to speak of what they had seen. But even then, in the safety of daylight, they couldn't shake the feeling that something lingered in the shadows of that old house, something restless and malevolent, waiting for its next unwitting visitor. The days passed after their harrowing encounter at the old house, but Emma and her friends couldn't shake the feeling of unease that had settled over them. They found themselves glancing nervously at the darkened windows whenever they passed by, half expecting to see a shadowy figure staring back at them. One night, unable to resist the pull of curiosity and fear, Emma returned to the house alone. She told herself she just wanted to prove to herself that there was nothing to be afraid of, that it was all just a trick of the imagination. But deep down, she knew she needed to confront whatever lurked within those decaying walls. The moon hung low in the sky as Emma approached the house. The boards on the windows creaked softly in the breeze, and the garden whispered with the rustling of overgrown plants. She took a deep breath and pushed open the door, the familiar musty smell greeting her like an unwelcome guest. Inside, the darkness seemed thicker than before, pressing in around her like a tangible presence. Emma flicked on her flashlight, its beam cutting through the gloom. She moved cautiously through the rooms, her footsteps echoing on the creaking floorboards. As she reached the foot of the stairs, a chill ran down her spine. She felt a presence behind her, a sensation of being watched that made her skin crawl. She turned slowly, the beam of her flashlight trembling as it illuminated the staircase. There, at the top of the stairs, stood the figure once again. Its form was shadowy and indistinct, wavering slightly as if caught between realms. Emma's heart pounded in her chest, her breath catching in her throat. She tried to speak, to ask who or what the figure was, but no words came out. The figure began to descend the stairs, each step slow and deliberate just as before. Emma's mind raced with fear and confusion. Should she run? Should she stay and face whatever this was? But before she could decide, the figure reached the bottom of the stairs and stepped into the faint circle of light cast by her flashlight. It was then that Emma saw its face, or rather, the lack thereof. The figure had no features, no eyes, no mouth, just a smooth, blank surface where a face should be. It seemed to shimmer in the light, as if struggling to maintain its form. Emma's instincts screamed at her to flee, but something held her in place. She couldn't tear her gaze away from the faceless figure as it stood before her, emanating an aura of sadness and longing that seemed to seep into her very bones. Without warning, the figure reached out a hand toward her. Its touch was icy cold, sending a shock of fear through Emma's entire body. She stumbled back, breaking free from its grasp, and turned to run. As she sprinted out of the house and into the night, she could hear the figure's unearthly wail echoing behind her, a sound that chilled her to the core. She didn't stop until she was safely back in her own bed, the covers pulled tightly around her trembling form. From that night on, Emma never spoke of her encounter with the faceless figure in the old house. But she knew, deep down, that whatever dwelled there was not of this world, a restless spirit trapped between life and death, seeking something it could never find. And as the years passed and the old house eventually crumbled into ruin, Emma couldn't help but wonder if the faceless figure still wandered its empty halls, waiting for another unsuspecting soul to cross its path. Years went by, but Emma couldn't shake the haunting memory of the faceless figure in the old house. She grew up, moved away from the neighborhood, and built a life far from the shadows of that eerie place. Yet, despite her best efforts to bury the past, the faceless specter remained etched in her mind like a spectral stain. One stormy evening, while visiting her hometown for a family gathering, Emma found herself drawn back to the neighborhood where the old house once stood. The rain poured in torrents, drumming a melancholy rhythm on the car roof as she parked nearby. The street was deserted, the houses dark and quiet against the backdrop of thunder and lightning. With a mixture of trepidation and determination, Emma stepped out into the downpour and made her way towards the overgrown lot where the house had once loomed. The years had not been kind to the place. What remained were crumbling walls and tangled vines reclaiming the land. It felt smaller somehow, less menacing in the stark light of adulthood. As she approached the spot where the front door once stood, Emma's heart skipped a beat. Amidst the ruins, a faint glow flickered like a candle in the wind. She hesitated, her mind racing with memories and unanswered questions. Against her better judgment, she moved closer, drawn inexorably towards the source of the light. There, amidst the rubble, Emma found a small shrine, makeshift and weather-worn, yet strangely serene amidst the chaos. A single candle burned brightly in a glass jar, casting dancing shadows on the remnants of a worn photograph and some wilted flowers. Emma's breath caught in her throat as she recognized the faces in the photograph, her friends from that fateful night so long ago. Tears mingled with the rain on her cheeks as she traced the faded names etched below their smiling faces. Suddenly, a voice echoed through the storm, soft and gentle yet filled with sorrow. "Thank you for returning," it whispered, barely audible above the thunder. Emma spun around, her heart racing, but there was no one there. The voice spoke again, closer this time, as if carried on the wind itself. "I have waited for so long, trapped between worlds. Your courage has brought me peace." Emma's mind raced, piecing together fragments of the puzzle that had haunted her for years. The faceless figure, the shrine, the inexplicable longing she had felt that night. It all seemed to converge in this moment of revelation. "You were there," Emma managed to choke out, her voice trembling. "In the house? That night?" There was a pause, filled only with the sound of raindrops drumming on leaves and the distant rumble of thunder. "Yes," came the reply, softer now, almost a whisper. "I lost my face, my identity. In a moment of great despair, I wandered, lost and forgotten, until your presence stirred something within me." Emma's thoughts raced, grappling with the enormity of what she was hearing. What do you need?" she finally asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Closure," the voice replied, sounding closer now, as if standing beside her. "I need you to remember, to honor what happened here. Let our story be told so that I may find peace at last." Emma nodded, her eyes brimming with tears. "I promise," she said, her voice steady despite the storm raging around them. "I will remember." And as the rain continued to fall, Emma felt a weight lift from her shoulders, a burden shared, a promise made. She lingered for a moment longer in the quiet of the ruins, feeling a sense of closure she had long sought. As she turned to leave, the candle flickered one last time, casting a fleeting shadow on the broken walls of the old house. And somewhere, in the depths of the storm, a presence stirred, finally at rest after years of wandering. Emma walked away, her heart lighter than it had been in years, knowing that she had played a part in a story that transcended time and space. A story of loss, of longing, and ultimately, of redemption. And though the old house would soon crumble into dust, the memory of what transpired there would endure, carried in the hearts of those who dared to remember. Years passed since Emma's encounter with the faceless figure and the mysterious shrine in the ruins of the old house. She kept her promise to remember, sharing the story with those she trusted. Though few believed the supernatural aspects of her tale, life moved on, and Emma pursued her career, traveled the world, and eventually settled in a bustling city far from her childhood home. Yet, despite the distance and time that separated her from that eerie night, Emma found herself drawn back to the memories again and again. She wondered about the faceless spirit she had encountered. Had it truly found peace? Or was there more to the story that she had yet to uncover? One autumn afternoon, while sorting through old boxes in her attic, Emma stumbled upon a faded journal she hadn't seen in years. It was her grandmother's, a woman known for her tales of folklore and supernatural encounters. As Emma leafed through the pages, she found a passage that sent a chill down her spine. Asterisk, in the autumn of '53. I heard whispers of a lost soul haunting the old house at the end of Maple Street. They say it's a spirit searching for its identity, its face stolen by a tragic fate. The locals speak of a shrine found amidst the ruins, a tribute to the souls lost to that house's dark past. I pray that one day, someone will bring peace to that restless spirit, for it lingers between worlds, yearning for closure. Asterisk. Emma's breath caught as she read those words. Could it be that the faceless figure she encountered was not alone in its plight? Were there others, lost and forgotten, waiting for someone to remember them? Driven by a newfound determination, Emma decided to return to her hometown once more. This time, armed with the journal and a resolve to uncover the truth buried within the ruins, she embarked on a journey that would challenge everything she thought she knew about life, death, and the unseen forces that bind them. The neighborhood hadn't changed much since Emma's last visit. The old house had crumbled further, a mere skeleton of its former self. Weeds choked the garden, and silence hung heavy in the air as Emma approached cautiously, the journal clutched tightly in her hands. She stepped over fallen debris and navigated through the overgrown paths, her heart racing with a mixture of fear and anticipation. The shrine, she remembered, had been somewhere near the front entrance. But would it still be there, after all these years? Then, as if guided by an unseen force, Emma stumbled upon it. A small clearing amidst the rubble, where the remnants of the shrine lay half-buried beneath moss and fallen leaves. The candle was gone, but the photograph and wilted flowers remained, testament to a memory long held. With trembling hands, Emma carefully uncovered the items, feeling a surge of emotion as she traced the names on the photograph. These were the faces of the lost souls, the ones who had crossed paths with the faceless figure on that fateful night so long ago. Suddenly, a whisper echoed through the stillness, a voice she recognized instantly. "Thank you," it said, soft and ethereal. Emma looked up, her heart skipping a beat as she saw the figure standing before her once again. This time, however, the figure shimmered with a gentle light, its form more defined than before. It held out a hand towards Emma, and without hesitation, she reached out to grasp it. The touch was cool and comforting, sending a ripple of peace through her weary soul. "I remember," Emma whispered, tears streaming down her cheeks. "I remember you all." And as she spoke those words, a radiant warmth enveloped her, spreading from the figure's touch to every corner of the clearing. The air shimmered with energy, a bridge between the worlds of the living and the departed. In that moment, Emma knew she had fulfilled her grandmother's prayer. She had brought peace to the lost souls of the old house. Their stories, once forgotten, were now etched in her heart forever, a testament to the power of remembrance and the enduring bonds that transcend time and space. As she stood there, hand in hand with the faceless figure and surrounded by the echoes of the past, Emma felt a profound sense of closure wash over her. The mysteries of the old house had finally been unraveled, and she knew that, wherever life took her next, she would carry this experience with her as a reminder of the unseen forces that shape our world. With a final glance at the clearing, now bathed in a soft golden light, Emma turned and walked away, her steps light and purposeful. The old house may have crumbled into ruin, but its legacy, and the souls it once sheltered, would live on in her memories. A beacon of hope and redemption in a world filled with mysteries yet to be discovered. As Emma walked away from the clearing where she had found closure for the lost souls of the old house, a sense of peace settled within her. The encounter had been profound, a culmination of years of wondering and searching for answers. She knew now that the spirits she had encountered were at rest, their stories finally acknowledged and honored. Returning to her hometown had stirred memories both painful and enlightening. She visited familiar places from her childhood, reminiscing about carefree days spent with friends who had since scattered across the country. Each corner held a story, each street a memory, and amidst it all, the old house stood as a silent witness to a past she had revisited and put to rest. Days turned into weeks as Emma settled back into her routine, her heart lighter than it had been in years. The journal she had found in the attic became a treasured keepsake, its pages filled with her grandmother's wisdom and the stories of the supernatural that had once seemed fantastical but now felt hauntingly real. One evening, while sorting through her belongings, Emma came across a small wooden box tucked away in a forgotten corner of her closet. Curious, she lifted the lid and discovered a collection of old photographs, faded snapshots of friends and family, capturing moments of joy and laughter frozen in time. Among them was a photograph she hadn't seen before, tucked into the corner of the box. It depicted a group of children standing in front of the old house at the end of Maple Street. Emma recognized herself and her friends, their faces bright with youthful exuberance. As she studied the photograph, a pang of nostalgia swept over her. Memories flooded back of summer days spent exploring the neighborhood, of whispered tales about the mysterious house, and of that one unforgettable night when their lives had intersected with forces beyond their understanding. Emma traced the faces in the photograph, lingering on each one. She recalled their names, their dreams, and the bonds that had once united them. She realized with a sudden clarity that their shared experience had shaped not only her own life but the lives of those who had crossed paths with the faceless figure. With a bittersweet smile, Emma closed the lid of the box, tucking the photograph back inside. She knew now that the past held answers she had been seeking all along, not just about the faceless figure and the old house, but about herself and her place in the world. In the weeks that followed, Emma found herself drawn to the stories of the supernatural once again. She began researching folklore and legends, uncovering tales of spirits seeking redemption, of lost souls finding peace through acts of remembrance and acknowledgement. She wrote about her experiences, sharing her journey of discovery with others who, like her, were fascinated by the mysteries of the unseen world. Her stories resonated with readers around the world, touching hearts and sparking conversations about the power of belief, the persistence of memory, and the enduring connections that bind us all. Through her writing, Emma found a sense of purpose, to explore the realms of the supernatural, to uncover hidden truths, and to share the stories of those whose voices had been silenced by time and circumstance. She traveled to haunted locations, interviewed witnesses of paranormal phenomena, and delved deeper into the mysteries that had once seemed so elusive. But amidst the thrill of discovery and the rush of revelation, Emma never forgot the lessons she had learned from the faceless figure and the lost souls of the old house. Their story had become a part of her own, a reminder of the power of empathy, of courage in the face of fear, and of the healing that comes with confronting the shadows that haunt us. And as she continued on her journey, Emma carried with her the knowledge that some mysteries may never be fully explained, but that in seeking answers, we often uncover truths far deeper and more profound than we ever imagined. So she wrote. She wrote of ghosts and spirits, of haunted places and restless souls. And in each tale, she found a piece of herself, a reflection of the human experience, and a testament to the enduring power of stories to connect us across time and space. And amidst it all, the memory of the old house and the faceless figure remained, a beacon of hope and redemption in a world filled with mysteries yet to be discovered. Emma's journey continued to unfold with each new story she wrote and each new place she explored. Her fascination with the supernatural grew deeper, fueled by the experiences she had lived through and the mysteries she had unraveled. She became a respected voice in the field of paranormal research, sought after for her insights and her ability to weave together the threads of history, folklore, and personal experience. Years passed, and Emma's writings gained a wide audience, drawing readers who were captivated by her tales of ghosts, spirits, and the unseen forces that shape our world. She traveled extensively, visiting haunted locations across continents, always searching for the next story to uncover, the next mystery to unravel. But amidst the thrill of her adventures, Emma never forgot the lessons she had learned from the faceless figure and the lost souls of the old house. Their stories had become a guiding light in her life, reminding her of the importance of empathy, understanding, and the power of remembrance. One day, while on a research trip to a remote village nestled in the mountains of Europe, Emma stumbled upon a forgotten legend whispered among the locals. It spoke of a spirit that had haunted their community for generations, a restless soul searching for peace, its identity lost in the mists of time. Intrigued, Emma delved deeper into the legend, uncovering fragments of history and personal accounts that painted a poignant picture of loss and longing. She listened to the stories of elderly villagers who still remembered the spirit's presence from their childhood, tales passed down through generations like precious heirlooms. Driven by a sense of duty and compassion, Emma embarked on a quest to help the spirit find the closure it had been denied for so long. She spent weeks immersing herself in the local culture, earning the trust of those who held the key to the spirit's past. With each conversation, each piece of information gathered, Emma felt closer to unraveling the mystery that had bound the spirit to this earthly realm. And then, one moonlit night, as she stood at the edge of a mist-shrouded forest, Emma felt a presence beside her, familiar yet ethereal, a gentle touch on her shoulder. She turned, her heart skipping a beat as she saw the faceless figure standing before her once more. But this time, there was no fear, no uncertainty, only a profound sense of understanding and connection that transcended words. The spirit shimmered with a soft glow, its form more defined than ever before, as if finally finding peace in the knowledge that someone had remembered, someone had cared. "Thank you," the spirit whispered, its voice a gentle breeze through the trees. "You have given me peace." Emma nodded, tears of joy and fulfillment streaming down her cheeks. "You're welcome," she replied, her voice steady despite the emotions surging within her. It was an honor to help. And as they stood together in the quiet of the forest, under the watchful gaze of the moon and stars, Emma knew that she had found her calling not just as a writer and researcher, but as a bridge between the worlds of the living and the departed, a keeper of stories that transcended time and space. From that day forward, Emma continued her work with renewed purpose and passion, traveling the world in search of spirits seeking peace, of mysteries longing to be unraveled. She wrote of their stories with reverence and empathy, sharing their voices with the world and honoring their journeys through the veil of existence. And amidst it all, the memory of the old house and the faceless figure remained a guiding light in Emma's life, a reminder of the enduring power of remembrance, of the healing that comes with confronting the shadows that haunt us, and of the connections that bind us together in the tapestry of human experience. As she looked back on her journey, Emma knew that she had found not only answers to the mysteries that had once confounded her, but also a deeper understanding of herself and her place in the world. She had embraced the unknown with courage and curiosity, and in doing so, had discovered the transformative power of compassion and empathy. And as she continued to write, to explore, and to share the stories of the unseen world, Emma carried with her the knowledge that some mysteries may never be fully explained, but that in seeking answers, we often uncover truths far deeper and more profound than we ever imagined. For Emma, the journey was far from over. It was a lifelong quest to shine a light into the darkness, to give voice to the silent whispers of the past, and to remind us all that even in the face of uncertainty, there is always hope, there is always connection, and there is always a story waiting to be told.